So in this video, we're going to be looking at some problem solving questions to do with areas of circles. The first thing we're going to look at is this question here. We just need to work out the area. So this is a semicircle. So it's going to be a fraction of a circle. And this is a nice fraction because you just divide it by 2. What we want to do is pretend that the full circle exists. That's terribly drawn, I know. And then once we have the area of the full circle, we just half it. In this question here, when we get to it, we're going to pretend the full circle exists. And once we have the area of the full circle, we just work out what a quarter of that is. And then by that time, hopefully you'll be ready for the last question as well. So you can try all three now. I'm going to go through question 1. Pause the video if you haven't had a go yet. So first of all, we know that the area of a circle equals pi r squared. The radius here is not 5, it's going to be 2.5. So that's 2.5, that's going to be the radius. So the area equals pi times, now I'm going to, instead of writing 2.5, I'm going to write 5 over 2 because half of 5 is 2.5 and we're going to square that. It's much easier to do that. So this becomes 25 over 4 pi centimeters squared. Now we need to half this. So there's a few ways to do this. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but halving that would give you 25 over 8 pi centimeters squared. Maybe I should go over that. So 25 over 4 divided by 2 is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So that should be 1 over 2. And you can see 4 times 2 is 8. And that's how we end up with that. Okay, second question. We are going to work out the area of this quarter circle. So the area of a full circle would be pi r squared. The radius here would be 20 because if it was a full circle, that would be a 20 centimeter radius. So is equal to pi times 20 squared. That's going to be 400 pi. Now, a quarter circle is equal to 1/4 of 400 pi. Now these numbers have worked out quite nicely because a quarter of 400 is just 100. So it's going to be 100 pi centimeters squared. Okay, last question on the right. This one you may need a bit more space for. Now if we look at it carefully, we can split this up into shapes that we know. So we can say, for example, that this consists of this square here, so we're going to just call that shape 1, and then this quarter circle, which is kind of what we just worked out in the previous question. So we're going to work out the area of 1 and then 2. So for 1, it's just going to be the area equals 50 times 50. So that's going to give you 2,500. Centimeters squared. And then for the second shape, which is the quarter circle, it's 1/4 pi r squared. Now if that was a full circle, you can imagine it would look like this, and that would mean that this is the radius. That's terribly drawn. I'm going to try that again. This is what the circle would look like. Actually, I might be able to use the circle drawer here. That's roughly what the circle would look like. So if we want a quarter, it's going to be 1/4 of pi r squared. The radius is 50. So it's going to be pi equals 1/4 times pi times 50 squared. So 50 squared times 1/4 is 625. So 625 pi. And that's the area of that arc. And then we just need to add these up. Now in this case, we are going to leave it in terms of the two expressions we have. So it's going to be 2,500 plus 625 pi centimeters squared. And this whole thing needs to be in brackets because it represents a single number just as an addition. We could put this in a calculator, and in that case you'd get 2,500 time plus 625 shift pi, and that gives us 4463. But in this case I'm going to leave it like this. We're going to look at a couple more questions now on this. Pause the video and have a go at working out the radius. The thing that's given to us is the area of these shapes. Okay, so I'm going to go through question 1 first. We know that the area equals pi r squared, and in fact in this case it's half a circle, so we're going to say half pi r squared will give you 36 pi. We can now divide pi on both sides, and we get half r squared equals 36. We are then going to multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of the half. So we get r squared equals 36 times 2, which is 72. And then we're going to square root both sides. Now 72 is not a square number, so we might have to just use a calculator to work this one out. So it's the square root of 72, which is going to give you 8.48. Now we could actually just leave this. The radius is root 72. This is the exact answer. You haven't done roots yet, so you might just want to turn that into a decimal if it asks you. So that would, remember, that would give you 8.48. I think that is rounded to, well, it would be 8.49 if it's to 2 decimal places. Okay, next question. 192 pi. Now this is, what fraction of a circle is this? So hopefully you figured out it's 3/4. So in other words, 3/4 of pi r squared will give you 192 pi, because that's the area. This is not a full circle, it's 3/4. You can cancel pi on both sides, or you can divide both sides by pi. And now I want to divide by 3/4. There's 2 ways I can do this. I can multiply 192 by 4 and then divide it by 3. Or I can use a calculator, be a bit lazy here. I'm going to divide by 3/4. I'm going to divide by 3/4. So 192 divided by fraction 3/4 gives you 256. You get a nice number. So r squared equals 256. We're then going to square root the answer here. So the square root of 256 gives you 16. So the radius, so when you square root both sides, the radius equals 16 centimeters. Okay, the next question, I might change the color on this. We can see we've got a quarter of a circle, so 1/4 of pi r squared equals 9/4 pi. Now I'm going to cancel pi by dividing pi both sides, and then I've got 1/4 r squared equals 9/4. I am going to divide by a quarter. Divide by a quarter. So 9/4 divided by a quarter. How many quarters in 9/4? We're going to get 9. But just for completeness, I'll do it here, up here. So 9/4 divided by a quarter is the same as 9/4 multiplied by its reciprocal. The 4's cancel out, so we end up with just 9. So you're going to write r squared equals 9. So from there, r must be 3 centimeters. Okay, hope that was useful. We'll do some more problem solving questions and I'll add some videos over time. Smash the like button.